welcome to our 1 year backpacking series. We are 7 weeks in and have just spent 4 days in the Atacama Desert. We are currently in between Chile and Bolivia at the border and are about to start a 3-day tour through the Salt Flats. Officially arrived in Bolivia. We've just been through border control. It's like the strangest border I've ever seen. It's just like a little building in the middle of the desert, but we've had breakfast and now we are in the 4x4 on our way into Bolivia on our route to the Salt Flats over the next 3 days. So we're through the border now and our first day has started. We've just arrived at our first stop, which is Laguna Blanca. It's completely frozen over and people are actually standing on it, so we're going to go down now and have a look. Our whip for the next 3 days, and that's our bags just on top. We have just arrived at stop number 2 and this is called Laguna Verde, and this is it just behind me here. We've just arrived at stop number 3, which is the hot springs. We're about to get in now. The outside is still so cold, so I'm hoping they're pretty warm in there. We've just arrived at our 4th stop of the day. We had some lunch at the hot springs and now we've come to see the geysers. We're 5,000 metres high at the moment, so the altitude's kicking in a little bit. But considering how high we are, we're not doing too badly. But it looks really cool here, so I'll show you how it looks. We've just arrived at our last stop of the day, stop number 5. We've come to a really pretty pink lake and there are flamingos and also llamas here. I'll show you what it looks like. Good morning, we are on day 2 for our Bolivia tour. Here is where we stayed. It's definitely not the best, but it was okay for a night. The guy's just loading up the car with all of our bags now and we're going to head off to our first stop. So the car was all piled up and ready to go, but it wouldn't start because it's too cold. So we've been for a walk to let it heat up, but now this other car has just come along to jump us so we can get on our way. So we've just arrived at our first stop of the day. It was only like a 10-minute drive from the hostel. And there's like these huge rock formations. It's kind of like a lost city, he said. I'll show you the view. When we was booking this tour, I was kind of worried that it was going to just be full of buses of everyone arriving at the same time. I don't really know how they've managed it, but everywhere we show up, we're like the only ones here. We've arrived at our next stop and there are flamingos here. We're actually even closer than we was yesterday. I'll show you the view. We've just had our lunch and we've headed back to the car. I don't know if we've understood the translation correctly, but apparently we're going to see some anacondas, so I'll let you know if that's actually true. And then this poor guy next to us, this is just proof that nothing's ever easy in South America. So we had our car problems this morning and now the car next to us has got a completely flat tyre, so I'm just sitting and observing in case we ever need to know how to do it. We have arrived at our last stop of the day. I can confirm we are not going to see anacondas. There is just a canyon shaped like an anaconda. So that was around 40 minutes and now we have about an hour and a half to 2 hours drive to the new town, which is where we will go to see the Salt Flats from tomorrow morning. We've just arrived at our last stop of the day, which is kind of a pub, like in the middle of the desert. So we're having an Uyuni beer. We have just arrived at our accommodation for the night and it is so nice. We're literally staying at the Salt Flats. They're just outside our window. And I know it doesn't sound much, but we have our own bathroom, which as a backpacker is just such a treat. I'll show you the room. We have a double bed, which makes a change to a bunk bed. And then we have mountain views. And if you look closely, that's the Salt Flats, just there. Good morning and welcome to our third and final day on the Salt Flat Tour. We had a 5 AM pickup and we are now standing on Cactus Island waiting for the sun to come up. It feels so surreal to be here. I remember finding this place when I was a kid and I showed it to my mum and I said, I'm going to go there one day, and now here we are. I can't believe I'm saying this, but thank you so much to Get Your Guide for sponsoring our trip. I could not be any more grateful to be working with you. We're going to enjoy the view now. I hope you do too. We've just finished at the Cactus Island and now we're about to have our breakfast in the Salt Flats. So we've just arrived at the photo spot in the Salt Flats and he's got a dinosaur which I'm pretty sure he's marked to make us do some cringe photos with. This place is absolutely huge. We've been driving through the Salt Flats now for, it's got to be a couple of hours and we've not seen anything else, so it's so much bigger than I ever thought it was. So there's a section with loads of flags. We've just found the UK one and someone's written Essex on it. I'll show you. We have now arrived in Uyuni and at our last stop, which is the abandoned train station. We have arrived at our hotel in Uyuni after the most incredible 3 days. I'm looking a little bit rosy because despite it being freezing cold out there, the sun is super strong, so I'm hoping to be a bit less red and a bit more bronze tomorrow. But back to the trip. They have been the best 3 days of our trip so far. We had heard such mixed reviews about Bolivia to the point that we was debating just flying straight to Peru and skipping it all together. But because the Salt Flats have been on my bucket list since I was a kid, we was like, it seems kind of silly to fly over it when we could have travelled through, and it is 100% the best decision we have made so far. We were super lucky with the group of people that we had. There was 5 of us in total, and everyone kind of just gelled straight away and got on really well. And I know that does make a really big difference when you do tours like this, but that aside, the tour itself was just incredible. I know that everyone comes on these trips to see the Salt Flats at the end, but I cannot have imagined what we was going to see over the last 3 days. Like the lagoons, the flamingos, the wildlife and the hot springs. I couldn't pick a favourite moment. The whole time has just been incredible and I am so glad we didn't skip it. If you're in South America, please come to Bolivia and do a tour because you will not regret it.